Well, you are juxtaposing two faculties of human consciousness. And you're calling them inspiration and imagination. And it asks for clarifying the difference.
Earlier, I'll have a good start. Would you be so kind to clarify to us the difference?
I'll be happy to. First of all, we must say the basic difference is that inspiration is non-dimensional and imagination is dimensional. Imagination is the tendency of the human consciousness to convert thoughts into dimensional forms. When we imagine something, we give a thought certainly two-dimensional or three-dimensional form. Therefore, imagination is very popular, and everyone likes to imagine things. Unfortunately, whatever we imagine will always remain imaginary. Therefore, it will always be unreal. Reality cannot be imagined, neither can it be experienced. It can, however, be realized. So the basic difference is the question of dimensionality and what is real and what is not real. Whatever is dimensional is phenomenal, which means it is in the domain of appearances. Reality must of necessity be essentially non-dimensional. Inspiration is a process whereby non-dimensional spiritual ideas, qualities, and values reach our consciousness. And imagination and fantasy are ways of concretizing thoughts from the sea of mental garbage. This is a very important difference, and metapsychiatry is probably unique in explaining it. In most other philosophies and religions, this is not clearly stated, and it is not something that human beings are very eager to understand. Because to imagine things is so comfortable and so easy, and one has the illusion that one is creative because one has imagined something. And in the field of art, we see that the kitschy artist uses his imagination rather than inspiration. And that is never real art, but pseudo-art. Real art is based on inspired ideas. So perhaps this is as much as I can tell you at this point. Maybe in the course of our question and answers, something else will develop.
Oh, that's wonderful. It's a very good start and clarification. Let's see if there are any questions at this point. Have here? Yeah, there's got you.
Dr. Hora, this is Kara, and I'd like to ask you to expand a little bit more on thinking silently. At present, I attitude is to my thinking. So what I'd like to do is to listen to God, and how do I do that?
Well, in order to listen to God, we must develop an abiding interest in spiritual values and spiritual qualities and inspired ideas, and we have to make space for them in our consciousness. This brings to mind the famous story about the Zen master who had a guest from the United States, a professor of philosophy. And this professor of philosophy asked the master, "Please tell me about Zen. I am very interested in this Zen philosophy." So the Zen master says, "All right, but let's have tea first." You probably know the story. Stop me if you know it. What? Yeah, so they sat down to tea, and the master was pouring tea into his guest's teacup. And as he was pouring, he didn't stop when the cup was full. He kept pouring, and the tea spilled all over the table. And the guest said, "For heaven's sake, what are you doing? Don't you see it is running over?" And the Zen master says, "Well, I am just trying to illustrate an example to you. If you ask me to tell you about Zen philosophy, how can I tell you when your mind is full of preconceived ideas about it? I cannot tell you anything because there would be no place to receive it. So if you ask, how can we hear inspired ideas, it means that we have to lose interest in fantasies and imaginations and become more interested in receiving inspired spiritual ideas from the divine mind."
So the key is interest.
The key is interest, yes. As long as we are interested in fantasizing and playing around with imaginations, our consciousness is filled with garbage, and we cannot receive what God has to give us. Let me give you an example.
Here.
For instance, if you are angry at somebody and you're itching to revenge yourself, you're full of vindictiveness, then you will have a tendency to imagine various situations where you could tell him off, or perhaps punch him in the nose, or somehow get back at him, or get even with somebody. When you are involved with such imaginations and fantasy, it is absolutely impossible to hear what God has to say. Now, the second issue is, suppose you are very much interested in sexual pleasures. Okay, occasionally somebody is interested in sex, right? Now then the tendency will be to fantasize over various situations where you could eventually achieve an orgiastic relief, right? Now, when you are involved with such fantasies and imaginings, it's absolutely impossible to hear what God has to say, right?
Right.
Now, the third possibility is, suppose you have a desire to be admired by someone. When you have this desire to be admired, you will naturally tend towards fantasizing about how you should look like, what you should wear, and what you should do, so that to attract some admiration by someone. So everything depends on what we are interested in. If we are fully and truly interested in inspired wisdom, then we cannot be interested in fantasizing and imagining things. Then the mind is empty, and it's like a teacup which is empty and is receptive. It can receive what God has to offer. But it's not possible to combine the two, because receptivity implies that we have no imaginings and fantasies in consciousness. Our attention is fully and totally turned towards God. That is the requirement.
Along this line, to bring our attention to God, we considered this morning a statement from your writings, where you say that intelligent ideas come to us when our perspective is on infinity.
Yes, well, God is infinity. Infinity is just another way of speaking about God, the infinite love intelligence. And infinity is non-dimensional, Jan. It's good to know that.
Yes.
Everything finite is dimensional. So our interest has to be fully turned towards infinity. And we have to develop an appreciation for the glorious liberty of living in infinite mind. It's a non-dimensional realm.
So, what is it, Jerry?
Yes, Jay.
And when I decide that I'm interested in listening to God,
Yes.
I seem to be extremely serious, and all of a sudden it's really serious business.
Yes.
What is the meaning of that?
God doesn't like serious people.
I'm aware of that.
Serious people are self-confirmatory. So we cannot be serious when we approach God. We have to be joyous and grateful and free of imaginings and fantasies, and free of wanting and not wanting, and shoulding and not shoulding, etc.
So when I'm aware of being serious, then I'm still not at the point of being interested in listening. Is that correct?
Yes. If you are serious, that means that you're really seeking self-confirmation. Anybody who is serious is involved with a desire for self-confirmation. Now, what is the alternative to seriousness? Not seriousness?
I don't know what is the alternative.
To seriousness?
Yes, sir.
Gratitude.
Is that right?
That's right.
Oh. I can't see that. What?
Would you like me to explain to you this?
Yes, please.
When we are grateful, we are not confirming ourselves, we are confirming the good of God. When we are serious, we seek to confirm ourselves. Do you get this, Jay?
I would like to. I can hear what you're saying, but it isn't a realization at the moment.
Well, maybe you don't like it.
I've been very serious most of my life.
Yeah, that's a pity.
So I would like to be healed of it.
Somebody said, I know that 2 and 2 is 4, but I don't like it.
I would like to be interested in liking it.
Okay,
Thank you, Dr. Hora.
you're welcome.
We have some traffic on the line. I'd like to make a new connection to the operator.
Fine, all right.
No problem.
Go ahead. Hello?
Yes, very bad.
Is it okay now?
So far, it's good.
All right.
Where were we? Oh, here.
Dr. Hora,
Yes.
this is Betty.
Yes, Betty.
Whenever I sit down to meditate and I'm seeking to contemplate my oneness with God and stop my own thinking, I sit down and for about 10 seconds, I contemplate whatever I'm praying about, and then instantly thoughts of every problem, every issue in my life come into my consciousness, and I catch myself thinking again.
Yes.
And I wonder the meaning of that, whether it's these thoughts are coming up to be healed or looked at, or whether it's a lack of interest on my part.
Well, the conflict is always about interest. It is very hard to be interested in what God has to say, because we are in the habit of figuring everything out for ourselves, and we don't need God. We want to do it ourselves. So we are speculating and imagining and fantasizing about how we are going to cope with the various problems that face us. But actually, meditation is learning to pay wholehearted attention to the will of God, to the exclusion of all other interests. So in the final analysis, Betty, it is a conflict of interests.
Is it almost an act of will to keep turning your attention back to God?
No, Betty, it is an act of devotion.
Devotion.
Yes.
Oh, that sounds better.
You cannot come to God with your will, only with your love and gratitude.
Oh, that sounds better. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Hora?
Yes, Carol? Is that Carol?
Fern?
Oh, Fern. Okay. Okay, sorry.
When you're speaking about listening to God or leading faith and consciousness to listen to God,
Yes.
is everything else, the fantasizing and the issues of speculating about our life, are those considered the claims of personal mind?
Correct.
So all fantasy is a claim of personal mind.
Absolutely.
Could you address that or talk a little bit about what these claims are?
Well, we have a very powerful impression from birth on that our mind is located in the brain, and we are working with our brain, and we have minds of our own, and we can produce thoughts in the brain. The brain is sort of a thought factory. And this is a universal illusion which everyone grows up with and hangs on to it. As a matter of fact, our educational system encourages this, with the IQ tests and in every possible way, we are being educated to believe in this impression. And some people get very good at it and very proud of their personal minds. And some people develop systems. We have even various schools of mind science and mind training and mind power systems where people are learning how to exert power with their own brains on other people. And that is what we call witchcraft and voodoo and manipulation and all sorts of things. So it is very common. And not many people realize that God is the only mind, because all intelligent ideas come to us through inspiration from this mind. And we don't produce intelligence in our brains. We receive it. Now, this is not very appealing to most people, because it means that you ain't never was nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Who wants that? It's not appealing. It hurts our vanity. And it takes a lot of suffering until we are willing to consider the possibility that God is the only mind, the only source of creativity and intelligence.
I was trying to understand better how the claim could be seen for what it is. And what I understand so far is that if we have an issue in consciousness that needs to be healed or spiritualized, and we don't see ourselves in the context of God around that issue,
Yes.
then it's sort of fast in meditation or during the day that's fantasizing. That's a claim of personal mind saying, I can solve this. I can get you a human answer.
That's right.
My fantasy will give you the experience you want, or in other words, it's always promising to get us something and distract us from seeing that God's will or God's grace is sufficient for us.
That's correct. Yes. Right.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Yes. It is also interesting that people who are very much attached to the illusion of personal mind power can become very incensed when somebody points out to them that God is the only mind. Amazing how much resentment and anger can crop up whenever someone speaks to an individual who is secretly proud of his own mind. Now, the Bible has a very succinct statement by St. Paul, which says, the carnal mind is enmity against God. And this statement proves itself every time anyone would say to someone who is proud of his own mental capacities, they would say to him, look here, fellow, God is the only mind. In that moment, you're going to have an enemy. People get very incensed at this idea.
Dr. Hora, this is Joe.
Yes, Joe.
Yeah, a few months ago we were discussing painting, and you pointed out, I was looking out onto the phenomenal world, how I should realize the difference between perception and awareness.
Yes.
That really helped out. I was right at the point where I needed that little wisdom. So thanks. So we're talking about thinking now. I was reading some about Heidegger, the origin of the work of art, and we're talking about thinking. We're talking about art, and he points out real quick, and I was looking for it and I couldn't find it, but he was a little bit critical towards Western thinking as far as sort of its reaction towards thought as leading us in a endless or in a bad direction, a rational, a dimensional direction.
Yes.
And how everybody got into different trends of avoiding thought and, you know, getting rid of it. Getting trends with Eastern religions and all that's where, and he points out that thinking really is sort of a craft and how it's useful. Of course, that's complex when he's talking about it. You could refer to his breakdown, the denken and the undenken, the two different aspects of thought, the calculative thinking and then the
Inspired.
what you call the inspired thinking, or he calls the recalling, the recollection,
Yes.
something further back.
Yes.
And it was interesting here in the introduction to Poetry, Language, and Thought, Hart and Heidegger. I'll read it right here, where it says, "Is there in the end any fundamental difference between the thinking poet and the poetic thinker? The poet need not think. The thinker need not create poetry. But to be a poet of first rank, there is a thinking that the poet must accomplish, and it is the same kind of thinking, in essence, that the thinker of first rank must accomplish, a thinking which has all the purity and thickness and solidity of poetry, and whose saying is poetry." So it sort of contradicts a few things we've been saying, but not really. But here we are, we're trying to get away from dimensionality, trying to not get lost in the trap of thinking. Yet it points out right here, there's an entity on an inspired path has to use this thinking and keep up with it. He can't just set it aside. Am I interpreting this right?
No, Joe, I am afraid you are misinterpreting what we said, and perhaps inadvertently, because we may have given you an impression that we are against thinking. We are not against thinking. We are for interest in inspired wisdom. Nobody can stop thinking. Nobody can stop living in this world without using his personal mind, so-called. Nobody can do mathematics or daily chores without using, as we say, his head. But that's not the point we are making. The question was, what is the difference between imagination and inspiration? And how does one develop the ability to be inspired? So we do not negating the practical value of calculative thinking for engineering and such, and scientific research and scientific work, a daily practical chores. You wouldn't know how to put on your shoes without that. So don't assume that we say you should never think, because that's what you seem to be getting out of what we said.
Between the Greek, from the Greek ideas to the Roman, and how the Romans lost the Greek experience in their translations from the words. The same problem we're having probably from the German to the English.
That's right, of course. You have to be reading it very carefully not to get confused.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Hora,
Yes.
this is Betty.
Yes, Betty.
We're mentioning mind fasting in our introduction, and the word mind fasting is confusing to me. It sounds like attempting to empty our consciousness of fat. And I wondered if you could clarify mind fasting for me.
Well, manifesting is refraining from fantasizing, imagining, and engaging in calculative thinking in order to become more receptive to inspired wisdom from God.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Hora, this is
Yes, Bob.
and in the seminar we had just prior to this phone call, came up with the idea that optics are a thought.
Yes.
And I was wondering if it seems that, we begin our learning at children and so forth, but after a while, it seems that optics, objects become what we think they are. It's what we're hedging it up to try to get beyond. To try to get beyond our own thoughts about something and let God's thoughts come to it.
That is correct, yes. Objects are thought appearing as form.
And are these often in the people's minds, or are these thoughts in God's mind? Or do we entertain them kind of a different?
Well, thoughts come to our awareness through our sensory apparatus, and they reach us from the environment, and we call it the sea of mental garbage. Now, the sea of mental garbage is the sum total of misperceptions of the human race from the beginning of times.
So it seems that anything we can directly experience might be flawed.
Whatever we experience is a dream. Experiences are dreams. They are thoughts perceived organismically.
And so by listening to God, we're able to free ourselves of that reliance on the mental garbage.
That's correct, yes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Bob.
Dr. Hora, this is Flora again. To go along with replying thinking that today it seems like we're quite caught up in goal setting. Would you say then that goal setting is a conflict of interest?
No, well, if you're not in conflict about your goal setting, then there is no conflict of interest. If you accept it as a valid way of approaching issues of life, you will be not in conflict about it, and you will set yourself goals and quite willfully and deliberately pursue the attainment of these goals. And you will either succeed or fail. If you fail, you will be a failure. If you succeed, you will also be a failure.
I don't know if I'm real clear on that. I think I am. Can you expand a little bit more on that?
Now, I'd like to ask someone to explain it there among you. Who can explain it? This is a little koan.
This is correct, Dr. Hora.
Yes, Craig?
I may not be understanding it correctly, but are you saying that a goal-setting person who tries to achieve his goal is a failure because he's seeing himself apart from God?
That's correct.
On his
Yeah.
own?
That's right. You see, success in a self-confirmatory modality is existential failure. When we succeed in confirming ourselves, and actually, existentially, we have failed.
That be because we are attempting to confirm something that is not real?
Exactly, that's right.
Dr. Hora, this is John.
Yes, John.
There.
You know, the problem is not the act of setting a goal, it the motive for setting the goal then.
Yes, a motive is crucial, of course. Well, setting a goal would be better spoken of, discerning what is desirable. Now we can pursue that as a goal and try to achieve it through a personal mind by calculating and speculating how to achieve it. And we may achieve it. But if we achieve it, there may not be any blessing in it. The enlightened way is to be guided by divine wisdom and seeking the unfoldment of a right idea. Now there is a religious cliche which has been with us for many, many years, that religious people will not say, I want to achieve this and this. They will say, God willing, I will achieve it. God willing. What is the meaning of this religious talk? It is very important because there is implied a realization that by the grace of God, we will have sufficient intelligence and energy and discernment to proceed effectively in a certain direction until we realize a worthwhile goal.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Hora?
Yes?
Bill?
Yes, Bill.
Any attempt to try to confirm the self fail? Talked about that.
Yes.
Is any movement toward other people, is it always usually just an attempt to confirm yourself? I might think of a movement towards another person, like having lunch with somebody or going to dinner or activities.
Yes.
It's usually any time there's an attempt to set something up or to do something, would just be a self-confirmatory thought, or a way of trying to confirm the self.
Well, it depends on your motivation.
It just would not seem possible in the human life to have that kind of a motivation.
What kind of a motivation, Bill?
The motivation to say, well, I'm here for God.
Yes.
I'm going to express God in this thing.
Yes. This is not possible, Bill?
I just know that it would be. I don't think I could do it. And I don't think I've seen anybody else.
If I understand you correctly, Bill, you're asking, how can we socialize in a valid way?
Yes.
Is that what you're asking? How can we be sociable in a valid way?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Well, first you have to choose the right restaurant to go to.
I've got the right red.
Then you have to be motivated by non-personal, non-conditional benevolence.
But I wouldn't go.
No, you wouldn't go. You would be sent.
Yeah, now, I can understand being sent or something, unfolding.
Yes.
But I don't understand. It seems like nothing would unfold.
Well, how did you manage to come to this meeting?
I was forced.
You were forced.
No, I was bored. I got. You're asking how did I wind up here?
Right. Right.
Well, I wish I knew.
Well, you can either be driven or drawn.
Well, there's both elements there. Yeah. I feel I have been driven and also drawn.
You see? So it has nothing to do with you.
So you could, I see. So what you're saying is that I could be drawn to an activity.
Yes?
I never thought that. Yeah, but Dr. Hora, here it seems so much easier to be drawn because you're among people that have the same goals in mind.
So?
Out there, it's just too tempting. I mean, it's real hard to confirm yourself here.
You're doing all right, Bill.
I really had the right motive, but I don't now. I'm going to have to pat the microphone.
Roberta, Dr. Hora,
Yes, Roberta.
I'd act upon it. When you were talking with Hora about goals and failure and success, the idea came to me, and I would like you can expand on that in the spiritual realm, there's no failure and no success. It's only in the human life.
Yes.
So, if we study spiritual values and principles,
Yes.
can we really have success at it? Is it something that we can succeed? Is it just saying existential success or existential failure?
No, there is no such thing.
So,
There are only blessings.
okay.
There are only blessings, Roberta. Unfoldment of God's good.
So when we realize we're setting a goal and we're measuring ourselves with success or failure, and we realize that we are thinking in human terms,
Yes, right.
which are in terms of blessings and failure.
Yes.
So what would be the difference between success
and blessing and improvement. They seem almost alike.
Only if you are studying metapsychiatry just for the sake of the lingo, rather than for discerning the essence. Success is a self-confirmatory achievement. It is to your own personal glory that you seek to be successful at something, so that you could be proud of yourself.
Yes, you need to be grateful for the blessing and see the blessing.
When you understand the good of God which comes to you as a blessing, you cannot brag about it. You can only be grateful for it.
Yes.
Now, most people would prefer to brag about it.
Yes. And you're sitting with Bill in the restaurant and socializing. I was just thinking of that. That would be an unfoldment, as you said, and a blessing. But we often think of social experiences as success and failure. I had a good time or I didn't have a good time, rather than seeing every event as an unfoldment of spiritual ideas.
Well, not every event, because there are events that turn sour.
So, because we see them as not confirming ourselves. What does it mean? What is the basis of something turning sour?
Success or failure. Success seems to be sweet and pleasant,
Yes.
because we can brag about it. And failure is bitter because we cannot brag about it.
Yes.
But success and failure are the same.
Right.
Two sides of the same voodoo nickel.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Dr. Hora, this is Michael.
Yes, Michael.
What is the meaning of hearing?
Hearing? What do you mean by hearing?
What is hearing? What is that takes place?
Hearing is a sensory perception.
What does the statement in the prayer of glowing mean, that the hearer of my ear hears?
Oh, that's another one. Well, do the ears really hear?
No, they can't hear.
All right, then what is it that hears?
But the consciousness is aware of something.
So what is it that hears?
Mind, consciousness.
All right, so hearing is a faculty of the divine mind. But we have the impression that it is our ears that hear. But if we understand that our ears have ears, then we have a transcendent realization of this blessed faculty to hear. And every time you hear a beautiful piece of music or the voice of a loved one, you are grateful to God that there is such a faculty called hearing.
I seem to have a hearing problem in one ear. What would be the meaning of that?
Well, maybe you're giving yourself credit for the faculty of hearing, and maybe there is someone whom you don't want to listen to.
I was reflecting on the idea of hearing in contrast with the idea of seeing. And the thought occurred to me that hearing seems to be something that there's a response to. For seeing, we observe something or we're aware of it. In hearing, if we hear something, there can be like obedience. that activity of an idea occurring and then acting upon that idea. Okay, is that an accurate perception?
No.
So,
Both hearing and seeing are receiving. It's receptivity to the good of God. The Zen master puts it this way. The enlightened man can hear with his eyes and see with his ears.
thank you. I forgot about that. Oh, thank you. I'm excited by you.
You don't know what he meant?
I beg your pardon?
You don't know what the Zen master meant by saying this?
Oh, sir.
Would you like to know? Now listen with your good ear.
Okay.
He explained that both sight and hearing are blessings of God which we receive as the gift of the good of God. And we have to be very grateful for these faculties. And we cannot take credit for them.
So a difficulty in sight or hearing would be the manifestation of that sense that I'm doing it.
Everything has a meaning, Michael. And the discernment of a meaning and the correction of the error within that meaning can result in a healing.
What is the meaning of a thought occurring and then having a difficulty in formulating or expressing that thought?
Give us an example.
So I think it happens a lot talking to you. But I was thinking in terms like on Sunday morning, preparing for my Sunday talk.
Yes.
It will seem that the idea is clear and I know what to say, and then when it's time for the service, it doesn't come out the same way that it came in.
Yes. Well, what you are saying that you are giving premeditated sermons, which are not appropriate to the occasion, because you cannot premeditate what the congregation will need. The right way to speak is to speak to the issues which people are involved in, which they are interested in. Therefore, it is never effective to premeditate what we are going to say.
So those times when they seem to flow very freely.
Then you are responding to the manifest needs of the people.
Thank you very much. That's very nice.
You're welcome.
Dr. Lawrence, John,
Yes, John?
what's the relationship between inspired seeing and hearing and beholding, or what's the difference if there is one?
Well, beholding is a spiritual faculty of awareness of God's infinite presence. And seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, and knowing are specialized faculties of the divine mind with which we are blessed. Our sensory faculties are really spiritual faculties, not located in our sensory organs, but in the divine mind. God sees, God hears, God knows, God feels, God smells. All these faculties are spiritual faculties even though to us they appear to be located in certain organs of the body.
And beholding is beyond
Yes,
any of those.
right, correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, John.
Enrico had a beautiful meditation.
That's fine, wonderful. Goodbye, everyone.
Very much. Bye.